Now, first aid is an important tool in quickly responding to accidents to ensure that injuries and other health issues can be efficiently and promptly dealt with before a trained medical professional arrives to administer more specialized treatment. Every year, World First Aid Day is commemorated on the 11th of September to promote the importance of acquiring first aid training. Administering first aid could go from as simple as applying ointments on injuries and burns to life-saving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and other complex life-saving procedures that require some form of training to be able to perform. This is why there is now a movement for more people to get trained in the administration of first aid. The theme of World First Aid Day 2021 is First Aid and Road Safety. With me in the studio is Emergency Response Specialist, First Aid Trainer, Dari Akinfosile. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, it's been 21 years after its inception. We commemorate this day yearly. Just an assessment. Talk to us how far we have come or how we have fared with regards to administering first aid in Nigeria.
Well, we've always had that form of assistance in helping people. So first aid is as old as human existence. Yeah. And of course, also in Nigeria, we are part of the global movement. And so first aid is not entirely new. The only thing we need to focus on is the right thing. And that is why we have to promote first aid every second Saturday of September. Of course, every day we promote first aid, but specifically World First Aid Day to re-emphasize the need to learn first aid. And there have been a lot of improvement. First aid is still alien to many.
Absolutely.
Most Nigerians, people. I'm involved in first aid training every week, week in, week out as a trainer, and I see I perceive what people bring to the class, even among the elites, among the learned, trained people. You just wonder where some of this information.
Talk to us some of the things that you've been hearing them talk about that make you perhaps cringe or make you react in a certain way.
Well, I've gotten to a point where I really don't react to some of this. I've heard a number of things. But one common thing is putting spoon into the mouth of a convulsive casualty. And that is so common. I would have thought that at this point in our lives, people would have really understood the basics of giving first aid to a convulsive casualty. Some would tell you some ridiculous things, and you would wonder where they got that information from. And so this is on us as individuals, people, teachers, parents, to really learn first aid and cascade the information to other persons.
To be a first aid trainer, for instance, does it really require knowledge to? Because some documents will say that I have read will say you don't require any knowledge, just you can address anything as it is. But stemming from what you have said, it seems that a lot of things has to be learned if you want to be a first aid trainer.
Knowledge is king in the sense that you can't give what you do not have. However, there are levels to first aid, so you can decide to be a first aid trainer for kids, a first aid trainer, basic first aid trainer, advanced first aid trainer for health caregivers. So it's a broad spectrum. But in the real sense, it is quite basic. The principle is the same, whether you're teaching it to kids or you are teaching to advanced learners or medical practitioner. The principle is simple. Keep it simple. First aid it's quite simple. Do the basic thing, as long as you do not harm the casualty. And that is the message. So, for instance, if you force a metal spoon into the mouth of a convulsive casualty, you break their teeth, you damage their gum. You could actually even push back the tongue. But
that's what has been obtained over the years.
And it works?
It seems it works. That's why a lot of people believe that is the way to go.
So this, I use a lot of humor in the class and sarcasm. One of the things I used to tell them is the next time when someone is convulsing, take off your left shoe put it on your head and fold your arms, and you'll see that in the next 5 to 10 minutes, the convulsion will subside. The last class I had, you're seeing really? The last class I had, I was really serious in the class, and someone was taking notes. I picked 2 phones. I said, okay, next time someone is convulsing, pick the phone on your right hand, put it under your left armpit, put the one on your left hand under your right armpit, fold your arms, and convulsion will subside. And someone was writing, how does it work? And then I said, maybe it's the electromagnetic spectrum. I just used one very funny thing. And another thing you could do is to watch that person, and you find out that convulsion will subside, or you can decide to push away harmful objects, make the place safe for the person, and convulsion will subside. So what works? Is it the spoon? Is it the phone? Is it the salt? Is it the urine? Or is it the nothing that you've done? So in understanding the nature of convulsion, you would understand that it is not the spoon that you forced into the mouth. It is not the cow urine or whatever people have used. It is not that. It's understanding that this is convulsion. All you need to do is to make the place safe for the person, protect their head, do not restrain them, do not put anything into their mouth, observe them, maybe cover them with a blanket, and convulsion will subside within a matter of minutes. Right.
Interesting. Now, when it comes to the situation of road safety, what are we looking at?
We're looking at road traffic accidents account for some 1.23 million deaths annually, globally, and it accounts for, it's one of the top 5 causes of death in children and young adults.
Yes.
And so when it comes to road safety issues, first is preventing accident. And so this is what we tell people. Yes, be prepared to respond, but let's even prevent these emergencies.
In the first place.
In some cases, first aid cannot correct the issues. Millions of people suffer life-disabling injuries as a result of injuries. Fall alone accounts for over 600 deaths. Just falling from stairway, from tables, accounts for over 600 deaths globally. That is how many people die as a result of injury. So when it comes to road safety accident, let's prevent it. Listen to, follow basic instructions, fasten your seatbelt, drive at safe speed. And when it comes to an emergency, how do you respond? As someone said, it is not responding within minutes that matters. Yes, that matters, but what do you do when you respond?
Right.
So what I've seen in the last few accidents I've responded to, it's the same story. You find people taking pictures, some trying to actually, there's always that good intention.
Yes.
Unfortunately, people just do the wrong thing. If someone has suffered head collision and they're on the steering and they're complaining they can't move, they've most likely suffered a spine injury. And when you drag them down from the vehicle or put them on the bike and rush them to the hospital, you probably will cause more damage. And sometimes some of these injuries caused by sympathizers actually can be fatal. And in fact, some of them have actually come out fatal. So it's doing the basic thing. Generally, when you approach an accident scene,
right,
you want to stay safe yourself.
Absolutely.
So maintain a safe distance and then call 767 in Lagos or 112 anywhere else in Nigeria and call for emergencies. And while emergency is on the way, do the very basic thing. Do not do too much. Don't drag people.
What are the basic things?
Okay, for instance, if someone is bleeding, get a piece of cloth, put it on the injury. If the casualties are in the position to help themselves, ask them to do so. For instance, if you apply a pad on an injury, ask them to hold it in place. If they are struggling to breathe, ask them to, if they can sit up. If they can't sit up, maybe you have to, unfortunately, there are certain things I can't just explain now, but sure. But allow them to be in the most comfortable position. They will find their own position. And do not be in a hurry to move them, except if life is in danger. For instance, if there's a road traffic accident on the rail track, you know that the train could come anytime, and of course that is massive energy coming. So you want to manage that situation. But as long as the risk is low or medium, just allow the casualty to take care of it. I'm saying this for the generality of it, but if you know what to do, if you're a skillful first aider, then you have to apply the basic first aid application.
You were saying something about you don't just move people around, and I want you to harp on that. You talked about it could make the injury fatal. So talk to us in terms of movement. I guess you can still describe something, how people can ensure that they move people safely, because people want to help. And they don't just want to leave people there, writing in pain.
Yes, so for road traffic accident, it usually comes with a lot of, or some form of physical trauma.
Yes.
That is broken bones. And sometimes you don't see some of these things. It could be a situation where a rib bone is broken and has ruptured the lung, for instance. And every time you move, this bone interacting with tissue would cause further damage. And you just have to be tactical. In whatever you want to do, you have to be very careful. You have to move at the casualty space. So if the person is saying that, oh, no, I can't move, give them some time. If you think standing up would help, you can ask them. Let them try and do so themselves than you forcing them to do. Except you are skillful. Okay, let me mention something most of us probably would have seen in football, especially with goalkeepers when they have head injuries. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, 10, 15 minutes, and you'll find a situation where the paramedic someone would hold onto the head, sometimes lying down in a literal position in symmetry with the casualty's body. That in itself is a skill. And they don't just do it, there's a reason why that is done. So they support the head, put the head in symmetry with the spine or the most part of the torso, until other members of the team are able to secure that person on a board. And there's a way you turn, when you want to turn the person, there's what we call a log roll, the way you roll a log. It's a skill. People lying along the casualty and then they turn. While they are turning the casualty on the side, the victim on the side, someone is holding on to the head. Ideally, the head has to be secured with a collar. That again is a skill you have to learn. So some of those things we see are actually complex, but in the real sense, when accident happens, basic things would count.
Hence the need for a day like this, commemorating a day like this, to raise awareness for why it is necessary to have a skill.
Exactly.
When it comes to first aid. Talk to us.
So on a day like this, we do more of advocacy, social media campaign, free first aid training, public first aid simulation, TV appearance, media appearance, and just to improve on what we do every day.
Now, one key question that I would like to ask is how COVID-19 has changed the approach with regards to administering first aid, because one of the clinical approach to preventing COVID-19, contracting COVID-19, is to social distance and to also wear your mask and all of it. So how do you then go about administering first aid when you have to also put it in mind that you have to ensure that you are safe from contracting COVID?
Yes, COVID-19 has changed certain things. And what we like to say is that the method, the principle in itself has not changed. So stopping bleeding is still applying a piece of cloth on the wound. You
still have to touch the person.
That is still the principle. But now you want to apply COVID. So you have to balance it. If you feel you're at risk of COVID-19, of course, you have to put on your face mask. In certain instances, conditions, you would ask the casualty to wear a face mask. But again, if someone is in distress and maybe they are panting, they are gasping for air,
mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and
you can ask them to put on a face mask. I'm coming to mouth-to-mouth.
Right.
So you as a first aid provider, you have to be prepared. You have to don the basic PPE, that is your face mask, your gloves. Those are basics. If you want to go further, you may want to wear a face shield and face goggles, safety goggles, and then you approach. If you don't need to touch the person, you don't have to. But most times, first aid is something you would have to make contact with the person, and you give them basic procedures. Slow down on your breath. Will you be fine wearing a face mask? If so, they wear a face mask. And then you apply the same basic stuff. As I've said, I'm hammering on bleeding because, of course, road traffic accidents would result into a number of trauma conditions. So you apply breathing pad and bandage. For CPR, the basic instruction is avoid mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
All right. We'll leave the conversation here. Akinfosile, emergency response specialist, first aid trainer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.